Greetings. My name is Claude Lawrenson. I've served and supported a national approach to unifying the home inspection sector. This is the second part of my ongoing work to nationalize the home inspection sector. Some may ask, why the national perspective? Well, by unifying our common goals as home inspection professionals, the sector can reduce and most likely eliminate most, if not all, of the gaps that currently exist. Practically every province seems to do their own thing. It has a number of home inspection associations, and even where licensing does exist, it's not the same requirements to become a licensed to practice home inspector. Simply with so many differences, the home inspection sector in Canada must unify to be considered uniform to the established professions. My primary focus in this presentation is on the topic of self-regulation and the role of the National Certification Program. A credentialing and certification model was developed over 16 years ago. With the current state of matters, we can only wonder why the future of the sector is in question. So let's focus on the topic of self-regulation. So here's a few of my thoughts on self-regulation. As a former college professor, I look to the professions such as teachers in the health professions. They are regulated to ensure the public is protected when they seek or receive health care or even education. Self-regulation is based on the concept that members of a profession is recognized on knowledge, skills, and judgment that are best suited to govern the profession in the interest of the public. With the development of the National Occupational Standards for Home Inspectors, a defined very specialized body of education and competence requirements was identified and accepted for the entry into the practice of home inspections. National Occupational Standards were initially formulated through the government-sponsored National Initiative for Home Inspectors that shaped the National Certification Program. Even to this day, there have been 3 reviews of the National Occupational Standards. Realistically, though, the regulation of the trades and professions falls under the provincial authority for the most part. However, those provincial differences have also created more confusion, fracturing, and fragmentation within the home inspection sector, as well as confusion for consumers. In 1997, a strategy was developed for coordinating and unifying the home inspection sector in Canada. The current regulatory framework with respect to government regulation of home inspectors no longer appears to serve in the best interests of the public. It has been challenged along the way, most often by a licensed regulated province group wanting to control their way as the only way and the only go-to organization within that province. Currently, there are 2 different licensing regulations that exist regarding becoming a home inspector in Canada. That representing the provinces of British Columbia and also Alberta. One significant variance, these regulations do not standardize the requirements to license an individual to legally perform a home inspection. They exist as 2 different licensing models. Whether considering higher education and entry to practice standards, mandating improved continuing competency requirements, practical field experience, or simply investigating a practice complaint, it has become increasingly difficult to equate a home inspector's credentials, since there's no common core standard as the benchmark. Likewise, there are too many challenges facing interprovincial transfers in the ability to readily obtain mentoring for new inspectors. These hurdles restrict a home inspector's move to another licensed inspection province and provides the restrictions regarding mentoring potential for certainly new home inspectors. They typically are confronted with many new additional requirements for continuing their business under the licensing regulation, such as mandating only approved education or mentoring from their recognized regulation standards. So even labor mobility becomes just another hurdle without some form of reciprocal interprovincial agreement. I personally know a few inspectors that have encountered this exact problem. A common national-based self-regulation and certification process regime would allow flexibility for the process and for the profession to adopt evidence-based practice and a policy that ensures accountability, transparency, and public protection in a more uniform, interconnected manner. In 2005, the goals and objectives of Canada Mortgage and Housing, Construction Sector Council, and CHIBO 2 National Initiative Report were successfully completed. The National Home Inspector Certification Council proposes a professional self-regulation for the home inspection sector that is in partnership with the government, thus enabling the profession to regulate its national certificate holders through certification activities that's in the best interest of upholding public safety and protection. What is proposed is acting as a delegated administrative organization, similar to the licensing review that was tabled in Ontario. With the privilege of self-regulation comes considerable responsibility and oversight. Actually, an existing national certification model already exists that both completes a background review to an established standard and that certifies home inspectors. The NHICC has followed and maintained the national certification model for home inspectors for well over the past 11 years. So why go through the rigorous process of reinventing the wheel? Perhaps all it needs is just a bit of fine-tuning. Within the strategy report, the basic function and roles were established to coordinate the profession. Self-regulation recognizes the maturity of a profession and acknowledges its credentialed certificate holders are capable of governing themselves within a predefined set of rules. Self-regulation means the government can delegate its regulatory authority to those with specialized knowledge required to do that job. That is a role that was studied and designed and largely financed at the federal level well over 16 years ago. As indicated earlier, the national initiative was eventually named the National Certification Program. It was studied in detail and developed the National Home Inspection Standard. It provided a home inspector credentialing model and a process that was field tested to raise the bar for recognition of qualified professionals by well over 300 home inspectors even before 2010. The process also identified a significant percentage that was claimed to be certified that did not and could not meet the national certification requirements. Basically benchmarking with quality control of those certified by inspection associations. Even to this day, the NHICC has upheld the value of this credentialing and certification process to help raise the bar for quality home inspections. Residential home inspections certainly provide a form of inspection for those buying new and used homes. Likewise, it should require only the best qualified personnel to perform that home inspection. Under the current multitude of home inspection organizations, there's simply far too much in the home inspector certification process. What is required is an independent arm's-length third-party oversight body that certifies to a common standard for all home inspectors, be it for the new inspector or even an experienced one. Once again, in reviewing the source document portion under Gaining Certification, the certification process provides us with two different streams, the experienced inspector and the entry-level inspector. CMHC noted in a publication that CMHC does not recommend or endorse any individual home inspectors or association. It does support national uniform standards of competency for home inspectors. Likewise, Construction Sector Council, now known as BuildForce Canada, indicated in a letter that the national certification process was validated by industry professionals as a desirable approach to ensuring and maintaining a high standard of excellence amongst home inspectors. Despite efforts for many years by some individuals and groups, the Canadian home inspection industry is still largely very much unregulated. Yet home inspectors play an integral role in the vast majority of real estate transactions. Keep in mind the purpose of a home inspection is to identify major structural, mechanical, or even safety defects. Why would any buyer or even seller not want to know the unbiased condition of their home through an independent review and disclosure of the current conditions? Simply, a home inspection provides that independent review in the analysis of a home. On another issue, when it comes to analyze to what standard, even the CSA National Home Inspection Standard that was developed in 2016 has not been readily accepted by many home inspection associations, or even mandated as the only go-to inspection standard. So again, this beckons the question regarding the lack of uniformity within the home inspection sector. So again, I comment about the gaps that truly exist, in some cases even significant differences, and the need for the sector to employ their common goals in alignment for uniformity. Failure to do so has only led to splintering and divisiveness in the home inspection sector, thus vulnerability and lacking of even complete support within the real estate market. Without some form of consumer protection, it's simply buyer beware. So who else can best offer consumer protection?
Under a self-governance option, a non-governmental
body would be mandated to administer mandatory certification for the home inspection sector. This body could readily be accomplished and facilitated in a joint cooperative effort with the NHICC. Even under a self-regulation regime, the NHICC provides an important place that incorporates external representation for public members. It's primarily a certification body and not just another home inspection association. It would also require the commitment by the provincial governments impacted by a self-governance model and licensing regimes, as well as enabling through agreement amongst all parties. Will also require the support and agreement to work in collaboration with the home inspection associations, franchisors, employers, and so on. A uniform national certification credential with professional accountability that would be readily recognized and that would help protect consumers, providing one universal point for recourse for problems if they might arise. Simply that one nationally recognized credential for certification would and should be recognized as the new gold standard. So what can we do? Similar to other professions, a coordinated self-regulating profession for home inspectors that is national in breadth and scope protects the public interest by setting standards of competency as well as ethical conduct. One that disciplines certificate holders that fails to meet them. One that has the right and responsibility to certify and also to discipline certificate holders for those within the national certification program. Unifying the home inspection profession allows for common goals and is not just good for the profession, but also provides true validation for the benefit of all stakeholders.
Please visit our website.
Need more information?
Or download the report.
Have any questions? Any comments? Please feel free to contact us simply by email.
Thank you.
Cheers
for listening.
very much.
More later.
Thank you.